Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Hey, guys. I'm also here. David Cho.
Hey.
He just hijacked the intro.
What a surprise.
In case people don't know, not to break the fourth wall, but we've recorded the entire podcast already. We know what happened. Honestly, I feel like it was pretty good.
I think it's very good.
David, you're usually like a harsh critic of yourself. How do you feel like you did?
I'll be honest, the last few times I've been on the podcast, I didn't think it was good. Like the Dan episode, frankly, we had to edit around me a lot because I was kind of dumb. I was really tired. The one before, kind of didn't know what I was doing also. This one, pretty good.
It was a great time. David, here's something that we didn't get to cover, but I really am interested in. How's your hair doing right now?
Honestly, it's fucking crazy, and I'm like debating buying hair clippers.
Oh,
or
I just bought
like
some.
That. I think. Did you?
Yeah, and my barber is gonna FaceTime me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The guys from across the street.
No. I have a real barber now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Troy, my guy Troy. He
shout out to Troy.
He's told me which clippers to buy, and also he said he'll help FaceTime me. He also said that I should film the whole thing for Instagram Live.
I think that would be a great.
He said it would be the
content.
Funniest thing ever.
Yeah, I think he might be wrong about that. Who do we have on the show today?
Today on the show we have obviously David Cho is here, and David's going to stick around for our conversation with Lenny S.
Mm-hmm.
And we discuss a lot about what's going on in terms of like artists and charity and how those two things can sort of like coexist in times like this.
But also like Lenny's birthday last night.
Yeah, we talked.
we talk
about Lenny's birthday.
Versus.
We talk about Verzuz. Yeah. There's a lot of like light stuff, not just like this heady conversation.
No, I wanted to go
we didn't talk about it. But I really do hate the way they spell Verzuz.
Oh, same.
I brought that up.
Yeah, but they have to sort of
sense.
differentiate itself from anything
it looks like
else.
Verzuz.
From the word, from
right?
spelling, from the MLA handbook.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
What do they distinguish themselves from spell check?
Listen, as guys who have gone by "It's the Real," one word, no apostrophe, no spaces, for the longest time, I can appreciate it.
As well.
And then we get on the phone with Julia Rubin, our friend, and we talk about her cooking experiences.
Yeah, I mean, she's living with her boyfriend for the first time.
Yes.
And it's in his apartment. And they were not ready to move in until this whole thing happened.
And now they are.
And now that,
the whole podcast goes to a lot of places.
Yeah.
It does. But David.
Wait, I want to say that David is on this because he's in group chats with us and our guests.
Yes. So it's a fluid conversation both times. David,
it's a live group. It's a live group chat.
Jeff, before we get into the podcast, we should mention that we have a Patreon set up.
We sure do.
At patreon.com/itsthereal. And people are signing up right now to help contribute to this whole thing of ours.
Yes, we have 99 contributors right now.
Patrons.
Patrons. Verzuz.
Yeah.
So we have 99 contributors to our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/itsthereal. Help us out. Throw some money our way. We're going to do a live on Sunday or Saturday. Maybe
Looking
both
forward
days.
to that. All right. We'll let you know.
I was going to try to do some sort of wordplay on you guys don't have family, or you guys don't have fans, you have family with Patreon, but I couldn't really make it work. But I just wanted to throw it out there that I was trying for that whole ad read.
Wait, so like the way that like Gaga has monsters and stuff, like we need, like Ariana Grande has the Arianators, like we need a
thing. Yeah, you guys should name your fandom. I do think that's important. Like all those people that like there's it's like probably going to be a not for real thing, but you should name the fandom.
We need something.
We should decide on that. We need to get to the Lenny conversation. Lenny conversation is fucking good.
All right.
Like the Lenny conversation is fucking Jay-Z. We talk about Jay-Z for so much.
It's a great conversation.
We talk about Verzuz.
All right, Jeff and David, hold on. Let's get Lenny on the phone right now. Beep boop. Lenny,
what up?
Yo,
what's happening? How?
I am legitimately surprised Lenny picked up the phone because he's been answering a fucking text all day long.
Yo, hold on. First of all, I just want to wish Lenny, now that we have him on the phone, a very, very happy birthday. Lenny, wishing you the best year ahead.
No, thank you, guys. I appreciate that, and I loved your video.
Oh, the AKAs were
What do
crazy.
you actually call those things?
The AKAs, yeah.
AKAs, okay.
Yeah.
Our tricks.
By the way, it's one of my favorite things.
No, thank you for that.
Period. I mean, like in life that you guys do. Besides
I do want to mention
podcast.
this. Of all the people who showed up to do our podcast, who sat down for 300 plus episodes of Waste Time with It's the Real, as we traditionally did it, Lenny was one of very few who came with AKAs and was like ready to go. It was crazy. It was great. Lenny, how are you doing? We just want to get a sort of sense of if you're losing it, if you're hanging in there, where your mental's at right now.
I'm all right. I thought I'd be losing it more than I am, but I'm actually all right because I found 2 things to like, keep me super busy. I already know Jesus. His name is Jehovah. No. That was a joke. No, but especially just working on the book. You know what I'm saying? Like that. This is literally right. Like I've been going for the last a year and a half that I've been bullshitting since I started this deal. Yeah. And this has been the time I've always been like, man, if I could just get 3 or 4 weeks to myself, and that's never going to happen because like I've been walking around.
Great news, bro. We got you 3 to 4 months.
Exactly. So it's been wonderful. Like I literally been just looking and scanning and, so yeah, that's been the most.
I feel like Lenny is also low key bullshitting a little bit because like we're obviously on a text thread with Lenny and it seemed like he was losing it up until this like kind of birthday wave. I think you're also
and by the way, that's totally fine too.
We also have to talk about this birthday thing.
Cho's right. No, Cho's right. David's right.
We all got the sense that Lenny was just sort of like, I think missing that social aspect. Lenny's always, seeing people, hugging people, being out and about.
Yeah, and like 6 events a night.
Yeah, this has drawn that to a complete stop.
Complete. I mean, I was going a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie. My whole life, professional and personal, is this. Outside. It's the streets. It's like it's traveling. It's clients and it's meetings and it's sets and videos and studios and me. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, it's fucking. It's a big shocker to just completely stop. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
Can we talk about your birthday?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. In a pre-COVID world, Lenny, you would be out. There would be a party. There would be like.
Well, no, there would be a party on the West Coast. There'd be a party on the East Coast. And then there'd be a party in Miami.
Definitely. So definitely, great question. And I mean, definitely there would have been 2 parties. There'd have been LA and New York. I'm talking about super fucking lit. Not gonna even lie to you. I do live the humble life, but I do also acknowledge that, like, I love throwing a good function.
That's right.
You guys know.
Yeah.
And I would have had definitely 2 birthdays, and every dope friend, family, girl, every hot woman in the city would be there. 100%. So I'm not gonna lie, I was bummed about that, super bummed. And everybody's hitting me, obviously, like, let's do a Zoom, let's do a thing, let's do a part, what's the other one that they have?
House party.
Let's do a house party. And I completely was just like, no, not like to say no so that people could try to convince me and I could just play the victim, but because it's like I just think it's a little goofy, and I really rather be with people in person, and I really rather wait. You know what I mean? Not even necessarily to celebrate my birthday, but just to like get with people, and we'll get together later.
Yeah.
But whatever. Chaka, Pilgrim, and my man Schaefer and my other friend, like, they said fuck what I said, and they secretly put a Zoom together, which, guys, ended up being fucking insane. I'm not gonna lie, David. Insane.
You're gonna tell the story of what happened, and like you should go into as much detail as you feel comfortable sharing. But like, so I texted Jerrod, who was also on the Zoom. And I was like, yo, like, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, yeah, it was so funny. He's like, you should have been there. And you also, when you told us about it, like, I wish you guys were there. Well, motherfucker, someone fucking send us the fucking link there. It's a fucking Control-C, Control-V. I know all you motherfuckers know how to copy and screen grab everything else. And somehow get lost. Because that is some real fucking bullshit. But you should say what it was. Because this is like, I'm not mad, but I'm definitely not happy.
I'm actually trying to picture what David Cho would be mad at. Like, would he get mad? Because I feel like David Cho just gets annoyed. I feel like you don't get mad.
I'm mad at dumb people. I get mad when people are bad at their job. but that's like a whole different podcast.
Okay,
but tell the story of what last night was.
Yeah, so I'll give you the short condensed version. Basically, again, right, surprise Zoom, and Chaka and Schaefer were pretty much in control of it. Schaefer's one of my best friends, Chaka as well.
Yeah.
And they kind of, they kind of know who I know and who I love, and it was supposed to be small. It was supposed to be small.
Yeah, damn.
I know, right? It was supposed to be small. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. It was supposed to actually be let's take a shot with Lenny for his birthday. So the phone Schaefer sends me a link and he's like, you got to come into this really quickly. And I go on and it's like Victor Cruz and Michael B. Jordan and Tata and Ashley and Tim and Jay-Z. And it's just like, I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Carmelo and Lala. And
Carmelo, Lala. And like
what kind of, how good were people's angles?
It was pretty good. People worked on
pretty
it.
Good? Because I think so I've been on Zooms where people just do wild, dumb angles. I'm like,
yeah.
Do you not know this?
So some people got killed for angles, particularly my friend Damson, who plays Franklin on Snowfall, who plays lead on Snowfall. Damson, mind you, remember he's in London, so it's all fucking late hours of the night, super late at night, yeah, right. And he's in his bed. So, like, he's in his bed, he's holding the phone up, so the angle is down.
Did you know Jay-Z was going to be on the Zoom? Here's the thing,
God.
like, that's kind of a thing that, like, you got, if you know you're getting on a Zoom with Jay, I feel like you have to be a little bit like, all right, well, this might be the last time I'm on a Zoom with Jay.
Well, wait, Lenny, did you dress up?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I just had on what I had on, like, normally. I mean, I was, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. It was a surprise. So, anyway, so Damson got killed. I mean, like, murdered. Like Jay lit him up. It was like, whoa! I'm not doing this with this guy laying in the bed like that. And he had a hoodie on. So then everybody's like, why do you have a hoodie on in the bed? And the hood was on. Like, so it's like, you sleep with a hoodie? So whatever. So he got killed. I mean, everybody got destroyed. Lil Rel actually just was on live 5 minutes ago talking about it. So I'm not even saying, exposing anything. Lil Rel was on live saying like how Jay-Z roasted him in Lenny S's Zoom party.
Well, Lenny,
so
you expected like a 10-minute, everyone take a shot, say hello, and say goodbye.
10 minutes. It was 4 hours and 56 minutes.
Yo, who is the pro account?
It's like a test. Well, you need a pro account to go beyond an hour, so my guess is Schaefer, I would think. Like, I bet he has one for work.
Oh, Zooms have a time limit?
Yeah. Zooms end after 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, no, my shit went uninterrupted.
I think the length of it, though, and I've heard of this of, like, other people where it's like, I think people are just kind of, like, want to talk to other people. And, like, when you get in that situation, it's like just, you don't want it to stop, especially if it's fun, because you miss. Like, it's one thing to see people one-on-one or to have a phone call or something like that, but, like, you miss the idea of, like, 15 people just, like, fucking shooting the shit and, like, really just having a good time, And
I tried to end it. I tried to do, like, a shot and be like, okay, guys, I want to – because I hate, like, people falling off, and I hate, like, people, like, getting awkward. So I tried to end it after, like, 25, 30 minutes. I was like, guys, I appreciate this. I love you guys. Cheers. I'll catch you guys later.
And Jay was like, no, we got to keep going.
Yeah, and then Kevin Hart came in. Then J. Cole came in. Then Dave Chappelle came in.
Jesus.
Then Tiffany Haddish came in. I mean, it got Steve-O. I mean, it got Raven.
Steve-O?
No, Steve Carless.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Steve Carless.
I was like, how the fuck did we not get that call?
Where Jay goes and says, why is Steve-O's name Steve-O, but his last name is Carless?
Yeah.
So Jay was doing a whole bunch of that. Destroyed Rel, destroyed a lot of people. YG. Man. I mean, it was insane, guys.
All right, not naming names, but was there anybody who showed up that you were not happy to see?
Nah. That's a phenomenal question.
Who were you the most surprised to see there, and was it Chaka?
J. Cole. J. Cole only. I mean, J. Cole's my brother, but only because, like, it's not Meek. By the way, Meek. I love Meek. Meek was there, but J. Cole, I feel like he just, he doesn't show up for much. I mean, he's super low key, super reserved, and I mean, if he rocks with you, Dreamville, Eve, and the family, you know, but like he's not like randomly just showing up. So I thought that was super. And by the way, MVP of the night, J. Cole, because Jay made everybody tell a story about me, like a good a good story.
That's so awesome.
And J. Cole told the best story. Like everybody hands down gave it to him.
That's super dope.
That sounds great. Cool party. I guess next time.
Yo.
But wait, the other thing though that we really we haven't talked about it on the phone for sure. We've obviously talked a little bit on text, but like, we have to talk about Verzuz for a little bit, which I mean, I can't imagine anyone doesn't know about it, but like, it's obviously the Swizz, Tim, kind of like, it's crazy because the first one was actually like a few years ago, right? Like, where did they do the original one? Like, what was that?
You know what? I was trying to think about it. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I think it was
on Instagram Live.
On Instagram Live, it was at Swiss's house, right? It was Swiss and Just Blaze.
It wasn't a different platform?
That's what though. I don't remember it. I don't even remember them having a live.
It was Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. I don't think that it was. I don't think it was with two different cameras.
No, I think it was just like
one camera.
And like Ebro had an angle. I think it just became this thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But
because there were like a million people there, and you would sort of like chase it from different accounts. So like, you know, one would end, and then you would go to the next one.
Because that was the one where Swizz also played that Jay song that also has never come out. It was like Jay Nas.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was sort of his own like Frankenstein that he put all these things together. It wasn't necessarily. I think that's what has been said. But yeah, out of this has become this regular thing that people have looked forward to. Now, Lenny has been in each one of these. Lenny has some of the best comments, and also up there with like Fat Joe. T.I. has been like a monster on the Verzuz comments.
Very active.
But Lenny, you were there for obviously like the Jonte and Neo one was like the best one. It was fire flames. Everyone like loved it, and it felt like, you know, like one heavy hitter against another. The night before, or maybe a couple nights before,
with Sean Garrett
and the Dream.
Sean Garrett and Dream.
That one.
You know, people are gonna shit on it, but I think that was the best reality TV one. Like that one.
It was wild.
Can you repeat that sentence? I think people are gonna shit on it, but that was the best reality TV show.
But you have to say, like, the first hour of that, where it's like Neo playing golf, Sean Garrett being on some shit.
No, the Dream was playing golf.
Realizing, Dream playing golf, and Sean Garrett not realizing like any of this shit. Like, that was like some real, like, you could edit that into a TV show. Like, the other stuff was great musically, and like the format wasn't figured out at that point, so they were all just like playing full songs. Like, Sean Garrett definitely didn't have the angle at all. Like on some like gross shit. Like, I mean, what do you know how this all started though? Like from that original one?
Yeah, it started from I mean, to my knowledge, speaking of Swizz, it started from that Just Blaze one though, not the. It started from the Swizz and Just Blaze.
Yep.
Because because I just remember back then, I remember being mad at Just for some of it, because like, you know, Swizz was playing stuff and Just was like, Just had records that were able to go against what Swizz was playing, but he wasn't playing them all at the right time.
I think some of these dudes need like a coach.
No,
you know what
100%.
I mean? Because you see what these guys do, and like, because the Hit Boy Wonder one was, to me, one where it was like, you guys both have a catalog, and it kind of felt like they were waiting for one person to throw the big punch because they kept holding back like certain tracks. Like you could tell, like, you know, and Dream was doing it too, where it's like when he dropped Umbrella versus different, it's like he had those ready, you know, different moments. But it's just like, you know, I think Swizz is like, Swizz should sort of coach all of them beforehand, because he's in the comments being like, just play the fucking hit. Like, play the hits that people want to hear. Or if it's not a hit, the beat better be fucking great. Like, it should be fucking undeniably good, and that's kind of not what these dudes are doing. But, I mean, it's hard to be objective about your own work, too, frankly.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got to be self-aware. I feel like Swizz and Timbaland, especially Swizz is super self-aware, right? And he's like...
Swizz is a showman, too.
Yeah, he's a showman, right? Showman, great showmanship. He's smart, and he's also, like, he's aware of, like, self-aware of even himself, right? Obviously self-aware of, like, what's dope, what's not, you know, what's like, he's not just like, I did this, it's fire, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's very aware of like certain things have to be played at a certain time. And because I use this reference with you guys on the group chat, but like, I really feel like these things are like, they're spade games. Like, if you're a spades player, like, you know, you can have the
100%.
right cards, right? But
Yeah.
if you play them wrong, you're done. And that's what it is. It's like, these guys have the right cards. And it's like, bro, why are you playing a big joker when he just gave you like a 3 of diamonds?
Well,
like,
then, okay,
like,
so do you think that RZA just played really well, or do you think that they're actually evenly matched?
I think that they both played most of the heat past the time of
afterwards, in overtime. Yeah,
in overtime.
I think the reason people responded to that one so well is because like a lot of people who like this stuff are older people, and they all just love RZA. They all just love like that era of hip hop so much. It's kind of like they could have, because like if you think about it, it's like RZA coming out in like a leather vest and all that shit. It's like a very like weird, and like anime playing in the background. For all intents and purposes, yeah, it's like it's all wrong.
Wait, what?
It really worked.
I feel like he came out like a superhero, or like that's definitely what he thought in his mind, right? Like he was just like, oh, like I'm gonna be like the illest shit coming out here, in my leather vest and leather gloves.
Well, it's just one of those things like you have like if you had really like, and it seems like this, you see this happening like gradually, but like if you have like Swizz or someone like telling these guys, like when you guys implemented the rule of like 90 seconds each, 20 songs only, like it felt like it got a little better gradually, but because it's still also like real, you know, it's like you don't have anyone coaching, you don't have anyone like really producing it. It's like it's maintaining like this looseness, which I think makes it feel authentic at the end of the day, even though there are things that like, we look at and we're like, this is fucking annoying.
Lenny, I'm just
okay.
No, I'm just curious as to like what you see now as like the ideal battle going forward, because like, okay, so we're recording this ahead of Babyface and Teddy Riley, right? And that's going to be a monster. But is there and there's been talk, right? We've seen like, oh, Puff will go against JD, or like, you know, there's been like JD and the Trackmasters and all these different things floated out there, right?
Trey in the mix.
I think everybody is excited to see Puff because he is like the ultimate showman, you know, like he's like, he'll just carry a battle on his own. Is there one that you just like envision as like the mecca of all battles?
And if not the mecca, then like the academics.
I don't know. I don't know who the opponent is. I mean, I kind of love. I mean, I tweeted that like 2 weeks ago. I love the Puff and JD thing. I just feel like
Len is too close to it. He's not going to be honest. The best one is obviously P and Kanye. Like that is
that's the best. I was just gonna say no. I agree with you. That Kanye, that's on my list too. The Kanye and Pharrell is definitely on my list, 100% best, because I love that they're both artists and producers, but also like the reason why I say the Puff is a part or equally as important, whoever he battles, is because of his catalog. Like
that's
like the catalog from when he was an A&R. Like he's gonna count all that. He literally came up with like those images and like the marketing and like the music and the ideas and the samples. So it's like you're talking about Jodeci.
My God!
Like you're talking about Mary. You know, so it's not just like Bad Boy per se, where it's like if you want to count all his 112, Biggie, Mace, and then the producing he did with Mariah and J-Lo and just so much shit. You're talking about his A&R stint. I don't think anybody could fuck with that.
Wait, back to the Pharrell and Kanye thing. I think it would be a disaster. I think that the Neptunes would absolutely wipe Kanye, and only because Kanye doesn't have the self-awareness.
Isn't bad?
It would be so bad on Kanye's part. I don't think that Kanye has the self-awareness to be like he doesn't want to play his old stuff. He wants to play his new God shit. Like,
we're speaking.
Let's take that out of it. Let's take the sort of reality of Kanye out of it. It's like that's like a longer conversation. But like, if you just put catalog to catalog,
no, I agree that like both their catalogs match up. But I just think that as a viewing experience, it would be horrible.
I don't know, man. Like, even if Kanye ranted for an hour, it's like that's still like pretty good viewing for that specific thing. Like,
I think
if he took like a gap in the middle and just like went fucking crazy, I think it's, or not crazy, but like if he actually ranted for an hour, I think it's still like interesting.
I think one of the most important developments out of Verzuz has been like the 20 song limit, or that's really what it should be. Like there shouldn't be an overtime. It should just be like 20 songs, because that makes you really, really, really have to decide what your best out of all of your songs are, you know?
It does, but I think it should be by catalog. By your catalog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was like 2 of them that happened that I felt like it had to be 30 songs. Like these guys, there were records that they didn't even play that were, you gotta remember, Jonte wrote the Usher, most of the Usher album that sold 10 million. Confessions.
He didn't even go to Confessions at all.
Confessions. He didn't play an Usher record, period.
He could have just let the whole record run.
He played what?
I said he could have just let the whole album run.
Yeah, but he played one of them at the end. Like, but it's like, to your point, it's like he should have gone there and he didn't. And that to me, it's just like, maybe they don't want to lean too much on Usher. It's crazy. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, this is also like the difference between like commercial success and cultural success. Or it's like they play a lot of B songs that aren't necessarily hits from like a Billboard Hot 100 perspective. But when they come on, the reverence that the audience and the fire emojis that come out is so interesting. Where it's right now at a time where it's like everyone chases certain things, and obviously these young kids like still chase number ones like crazy, but it's like the cultural impact conversation is like the takeaway from this, if I'm a young artist, is so interesting. Where it's like, you should look at this and be like, okay, is the music that you're making now going to be remembered like this? Because if not, you should think a little bit more about how you're making music.
It sounds like you didn't like that Lil Jon ended with Shots.
No, but he should end with Shots, because frankly, Shots is a fucking huge ass song.
A fucking monster.
And it's a global monster, and it's like, it's like, but that's where it's like these guys are too nervous to play. Like, I would have started with Shots, frankly. Like,
you would have like set it off,
just bury him.
Started with the Big Joker. But no, listen. Even going back to Jonte, that's my point. I think that he did play so much heat. I mean, granted, there's always 2 or 3 songs that we feel like personally they probably loved or thought it was better than what it is, and it's not. But I'm saying he played so much heat. What I'm saying is that he didn't have to play. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could have went a little longer, and even still, like, he played enough fucking heat. You know how much heat you gotta have that you don't play Confessions?
Well, what was the Aaliyah song that he pulled out? Like, and everyone was like, "Oh,
3."
He did Miss You. He did
the Come Over, maybe.
Yeah.
Yo, Lenny, is there any world in which 50 and Ja really would do an Instagram battle?
I think you probably have to pay 50. You know what I mean? Like, you don't fucking care about doing it. I think, I always think those things are dope for the culture. You know what I mean? It's funny. And even the comments.
Them do it. Who says no, though? Like, I mean, it feels kind of like both of them need it enough where they might both say yes. Like, do you know if that's been broached at all? Can you say?
I don't know. I just seemed like, the Ja was on Joe's thing. But I want to really highlight what David said earlier about the coaching, because I really feel strongly about that. Like, right, guys, anything you do in life, sports, whatever, like, you need a coach, you need a manager. And I just feel like, again, they're great. Guys are geniuses, but like, geniuses or not, like, I still feel you need like somebody like, nah, let's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you need the Gwen Stefani, you need the Blake Shelton, you need the.
Well, I think it's one of those things that's like, I think with anything, like, and this is like a thing I've learned over the last few years, like, if you get too in something, you're not going to be objective about it. So you need another person who's coming at it with fresh eyes, who's not as in it as you are, to like, at least be a sounding board to be like, do I sound crazy or not? Because sometimes you might sound not crazy, but a lot of times you probably just sound crazy.
Let me tell you something. There's 2 different times in my life where I experienced that, right? It was both random, 2 shows. One time it was like, I brought out EPMD at a show with Jay, and Eric really thought that like the crowd wasn't gonna know the music, and was like, pretty nervous to go up. Like, Eric fucking Sermon, like the
What
legend.
Year was this?
It was years ago. I mean, but still, even at that time, EPMD was like, obviously, not around or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, he really just thought they were so far removed that they were going to go out there and it was going to be crickets. And I fucking bet him, and they went out there and the crowd lost it. And then the same thing, Michael Bivens, friend of mine, and Khaled did a show.
Was he on the Zoom?
No, he wasn't. Khaled did a show at Staples Center for like BET weekend, and Staples Center fucking sold out, and he was the headliner. And I was like, yo, Mike, you should come out, BBD. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Joint. And he was like, nah, I don't know. They're gonna know it. And I'm like, what? You think these people ain't gonna know Poison? He was like, it's a brand new crowd, it's young people, and it was fairly young. It was like all young new artists. But anyway, we fucking did it, and not only did I bring out BBD, and not only did the fucking crowd lose it, I brought out my friends that were the cast of the New Edition movie at the time. They came out and the crowd went crazy again.
Smart.
And like they did all, but I'm saying like sometimes people, they just don't know like what's really hot.
People forget that artists are also humans, and like whether you're the biggest guy of all time, and like if you're not in the most gassed headspace, like you do question yourself at all times, like at any moment. It's like I've heard like not even talking about like Justin or anyone, but like I've heard like people who are like epic artists being like questioning themselves, questioning, was this the right decision? Was that the right decision? It's fucking crazy. It's like that is the nature of like being a human. It's like to be like, okay, well, is what I'm doing good enough? Like, I think it's great, but will other people like it? Like, that's I'm sure you've seen it with every artist that's put out music. It's like, is this going to be the one that I think it's going to be? And like, I think, but that's like the last thing I think we should really talk about, which is like in your role, in your position with a lot of these artists, whether it's like Khaled or whoever, it's like, how has it been as these guys are like all of a sudden like not in a position where they can actively promote and they have to figure out, okay, well, what do I do? How do I do it? Like, what has that been like for you?
They come on our podcast every day.
No, it's challenging, honestly, like, most of the work and most of the stuff is outside. I mean, the only advantage they have, thank God, we live in a social media world now, and there's so many platforms that just doing stuff like that and just doing stuff where like they can still obviously promote or just make some kind of content on the inside where they're at, or also like we're just planning ahead. So like we did this deal yesterday with Khaled where we're gonna shoot this like this movie he's about to do, but like even now, like it won't even start till maybe November, December, and we can still go past that if we need. But just planning ahead, and like they're still writing. What I love about it really is how creative, and it's making people reinvent themselves. I mean, like seriously, from what D-Nice did to what Tory Lanez, like I don't care. Like it's not, the numbers are there.
Tory who? We do not recognize that name.
That's right, David. This is the original Quarantine Radio.
Quarantine. This is, by the way, this is the original Quarantine Radio. But you know what I mean? Like the numbers are showing.
Sure.
D-Nice started at, I think it was 167,000 followers, bro. He's on 2 million.
Yo,
his name is known around the world. Like it's just the reinvention. Even if you plan to or not, Tory didn't know what it was going to turn into. A lot of people don't know what they're, what I'm saying. And Lenny, we also have a new cable show.
Yeah, no, I think people have to adapt now. And like, if you're not doing something like D-Nice is doing, if you're not doing what Tim and Swiss are doing, if you're not doing what Tory is doing, and you're an artist right now, you're going to be left like way the fuck behind.
Well, here's though something I will say though. It's like I think it's different for these guys on the come up. Whereas I think if you're at the top, you have to be so careful because like you saw it even with P or someone like that, like where Pharrell posts about like everyone should donate to this thing, and then the next day there's like a Page 6 headline that says Pharrell gets backlash because people are asking him why he's not donating and asking other people to donate in this time of hardship. Like I do think there's this like weird thin line of like I know that Jeff and Eric were just on a call with like a management team for like a fairly big artist where they were like, how do you like, are you worried about backlash at all? Because like, I will say from our perspective, like, we just put out Trolls World Tour available on Premiere VOD today.
Yep.
But like, and it did great, thank God. But it was one of those things where it's like, if we're doing this, we have to make sure. And it was good for us because like, I think we had an opportunity to use that and use all these brands that were promoting it to say, all right, because we're promoting this thing, you have to give money to all these different charities because that's the only way we can justify even doing anything commercial. Because like you can't go out there and sell something right now because it's fucking you'll get killed for it. Even if you don't like Gal Gadot and all this shit, like people like it was a dumb idea. They shouldn't have done it, like whatever. But they did it with the best of intentions. Like none of those people who were singing Imagine in that video were like doing it to be like, look at me, I'm going to try to stunt. They were actively being like, oh, this will be a nice thing we're going to do. And like they all got fucking killed.
Well, David, why do you think it works for someone like Shea Serrano to raise money the way he does and get such a positive reaction to that, and somebody who might not?
Well, I think Shea is in a different position where he is huge within like a very fervent and real community, and I obviously love Shea despite what he said about me on the podcast last time. But like, I think Shea operates at a level where it's like, I think if you're Justin, if you're Gal Gadot, if you're these people that sort of exist on a perceived higher plane, you have to be really, really careful about what you do. Like, I'm honestly surprised, and I'm glad it didn't happen, but I'm surprised Drake hasn't gotten more shit, frankly. It's like, you know, between like putting out like private plane videos and all that stuff, it's like it's a weird alchemy of things that make people mad, and it's hard to say what it is. And I think that's what makes it really, like, it's like Pharrell puts out a video that says please, or a post that says please donate to this thing. Drake puts out a video that shows him dancing on his private plane, and it's like the please donate to this is the one that gets backlash, and the one on the plane is like a hit video, which is great. Like, the song is fucking great. I love Drake, I love Future, I love all those guys, but it's like, it's just surprising that, like, I think that's what makes it hard for these people at the top to figure out what the move they should make is. And like, obviously, I'll say, like, candidly, on the Justin side, we've been very like, anything that we do, like, we have to make sure we're using all of our power and all of our influence to help as many people as possible if we're even going to begin the conversation of something commercial. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to engage in, and that's why we're like, yeah, like, you have to donate to all these food banks and all these PPE things. And like, there's even so much stuff that we did that we never even talked about, which is good, because like, it wasn't about talking about it, but it was more like, brands, if you're not going to spend the money to like fly us here to do this talk show, let's put that money into something good, so you guys are actually like helping people, which I think is really, really
well. Let me
important.
ask you both. Let me ask you both this, Lenny and David. Is it possible for an artist to lay back and still do good work, but to lay back and not be active in promoting their good works?
I think it's the best way to do it. I mean, B and J are the best at that. Like, you don't know how much money gets given away. I mean, Lenny can speak to that more than I can, but it's like, even the things that I hear about, like, in the periphery, it's like, fuck, these people are crazy rich, but they're also giving so much money away in the best way.
Yep.
Lenny's nervous. Like,
No. Because he answered it perfectly. I can tell you what I do and don't like about this time. I kind of feel like I love and hate it, right? Like, I feel like when the internet came, right, the internet made people, which, again, I love and hate, it made people not have to really worry about trying to get a record deal, right, or shit like that, because you can essentially make yourself a star, right? Like, you can do your own videos, do your own music, put it out, and obviously way more people have gotten on, which on one side is super fucking dope. But, you know, I come from a different generation also where I can respect it, and I respect that there are gatekeepers, right? And there are gatekeepers for record companies and shit like that, and producers and everything, so that, you know, but whatever. Internet has proved that wrong. What I love and hate about this shit is everybody has like their own TV show, and everybody is pretty much essentially producing their own TV show, you know what I'm saying, and going live, and it's like, whether they're cooking or whether they're DJing or whether they're just whatever. And it's like, now you have to watch 150 other little television shows that they feel is the shit.
Yeah, I mean, you're on one.
I think the other thing.
No, guys, you guys been doing that.
Like, no, but Len, like, I think to that point, there's also the thing of like, you don't see. I don't think, and I'm curious to see what happens if there's ever another artist, and honestly, like, B might be the last one that's like fully encompassing and kind of isn't part of a fragmented group. So it's like, if you look at like where Kanye was when he was, I mean, not as at his peak, but what I would consider his peak of like Graduation, Dark Twisted Fantasy, like he's just that era of stuff. It's like, he was the guy. There was no one else. Like, it was him, Jay, but there were like 5 or 6 guys. That was or people. That was it. Now it's like, okay, well, if you like the closed part of Kanye and some of the music, you go with in the live show element, you go with Travis. If you like more just the clothes, you go with Rocky. If you like, you know, maybe like funny raps, you go with Sean. It's like, if you like serious raps, you go with J. Cole. It's like, if you you know, it's interesting. Like, none of these guys are at the, like, they're at the top of. Drake is like, obviously, I mean, actually Drake might be the last one, but it's like, there's none of these guys that like exist at the top anymore. It's all just like middle levels, and there's the highest level you can get to, but they don't transcend past it, I don't think. Like you see it even with like the album sales numbers. It's like, like Bieber had like what I thought was like a pretty good album, and it's like his numbers weren't like Adele numbers or Beyonce numbers, or Travis had a huge album last year, and it still wasn't these numbers, like where it won't be what Drake does. Whenever Drake drops his album, he will have numbers unlike anyone else, and he might be the only one that can do that. And it's Drake an interesting thing to see.
Well, it's either them or Roddy Ricch.
He's the guy.
Which is like crazy, because it's like, well, if Roddy Ricch is beating Justin Bieber, then the whole algorithm, or like the whole expectation of like what a number one star is, it's just like, it's all the same.
Listen, Lenny, we wanted to wish you once again the best year ahead. Happy birthday. And real quick, we had Fab on last week, and we talked about Fab's birthday when you guys went out to Dubai. And it was our memory that it was like
a week long.
7 days in a row. Fab said it was more like 3, but whatever it was, you spearheaded that. You were the one who,
Every single store you guys would go into,
I had a cake ready for him.
Genius. It was fucking genius, and the look on his face in those videos was priceless.
Wait, can we do that for you for your birthday? Like every hour you get more.
That's so real. Like you're on a press tour shit where it's like you are so bored. You figure out anything to do that's fun.
Seriously, I killed it though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm talking about, and so I'm not talking about like, we're at the hotel, like it's super obvious. You can get a cake from. It's like, I'm not talking about easy shit. I'm talking about, I don't give a fuck if we stopped. He stopped at Louis Vuitton, like just to go shopping randomly. We didn't know. I literally went to the manager and was like, "Do you have anything?" And they had cupcakes in there. Randomly, and I got a candle, and I had the fucking staff bring him out while he was buying shoes.
It was so good.
Everywhere we went,
it was so good for you guys, but it was so good for us. Lenny would send the videos like every time it would happen. It was like, it can't get better than the last time, could it?
Yes, we were at Raising Cane's, like chicken fingers in the mall. And I got a fucking cake from next door with Raising Cane's, and I had like everywhere we went.
It's genius.
He was pissed.
Wait, what's the best trick that somebody's pulled on you?
Shit. A long time ago, I used to be obsessed with Nia Long. I mean, still am. Respectfully. So I was super obsessed with Nia Long. I mean, Love Jones, I just love Nia Long.
Yeah.
And my friend at Def Jam at the time, her name was Gabby. Gabby knew her super well. And so all good, whatever. And then she calls me, and we always kicked it. And she was like, "Come to my office. I want to talk to you about something." And I went down to the office, and when I went in, like, Nia Long was sitting in a chair like next to her, and I was like, and she knew I was like, and this is way back in the day. I got super nervous. Like it was so dumb because I'm usually, I'm good with people.
Like you don't realize you're sweating.
Oh my god! I literally was like, and she was like, "Hey, Lenny, this is Nia," and I was just stuck like stupid. Right?
Lenny, listen. Take care of yourself. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on the group chat and
in the Zoom
and the Zoom.
Yes, we got a Zoom soon.
Lenny,
thanks guys.
We love you. Take care of yourself. All right.
Love, bro.
Yeah, I love you, man.
Jeff and David, let's get on the phone now with Julia Rubin. Julia,
what up?
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, David's on the line.
Hey.
I don't have the same energy level as they do, but I'm not a pro.
Wait, David,
I'm just a guest today.
Is that
amateur.
David, is that lack of energy because of the quarantine or just in general?
I mean, I think generally, like, you guys bring a lot more energy to life than I do, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong,
Do you want to try it again with energy?
Okay, thank you.
Julia, how are you doing? We're like
good.
a month into this thing, maybe a little more.
Yeah, I'm okay. I am doing much better than I was the first, I would say maybe 3 weeks.
So when we got you the first time, it was not great, Julia.
It was like, that was like so early. So I feel like at the very beginning, I was sort of in like crisis mode and like, okay, like let's figure this out. Then things took a real dip and the anxiety really shot up. And the last couple weeks have been much better.
Well, what do you credit that to, you think?
Oh, so many things. One, just like settling into a space and like we just had to do a lot of catch up. Like as discussed last time, I'm living with my boyfriend who I've never lived with before and was not planning on living with. So we just like, I mean, I love him, but this was not the time or the apartment. But he doesn't cook. Like I don't cook at all. He doesn't cook a lot. So we had to spend the first few weeks like honestly just stocking up with like really basic stuff. And I feel like I spent so much time making sure that we had like paper towels and toilet paper and like all the cooking stuff. And now we're like in maintenance mode, which is great. And also just like as people who have lived alone for a very long time, it's like we figured out how to live with another person again, which has been great. And also just I think like certainly the first 2 weeks I just was in constant fear of being sick because we were waiting out that like incubation period.
Yeah.
So we just don't have that anymore. It's like we're going for walks and we are getting deliveries, but there's like no other points of exposure or possible exposure, and those points are really small. And then like work stuff, like we found out this week that both of us are okay for now, which is great. But that was also a thing but a lot of other people at the company were not, and it sucks and it's so hard. And a thing that we've worked in media for a long time, so we have seen a lot of layoffs, and this is obviously the worst. But yeah, I think there's a lot more. Do you think this is worse
than 2008?
Great question. I mean,
were you working in 2008? Okay.
I was in college, and I graduated in 2010, which was just at the time when like all of these places like rose from the ashes, right? And like it was actually a really great time to have graduated and been in media. But yeah, I mean, this is just hopefully the cuts for us are temporary. But yeah, it's like really scary to be like, am I going to have an income now? Am I going to have income in 3 months? So we'll see. But there's more stability now than I have felt probably this whole time, which is good.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like, oh, sorry, just real quick. Like, it's interesting because like, obviously internet consumption is up so much. You know what I mean? Because of quarantine. Like, I mean, without going into your guys' specific traffic numbers, like I'm assuming you guys have also seen at least a consumption increase-ish?
Oh,
or would you say...
by like an insane degree. Like, like our traffic is up a pretty wild amount, which is great, and that's true across the company. But advertising opportunities have like really kind of disappeared. That's like, it's like
I think that's just a case of the market like kind of doesn't know what's going to happen next. So it's like everyone's sort of like pussyfooting around a little bit.
Yes, and there are deals that have been done in the last month, which are really exciting, which I think will be, rolling out and be made public soon. But yeah, it's basically it's like there has been a decrease in ad revenue and a real increase in traffic, and the disconnect is a bummer, but hopefully kind of rights itself a little bit as things settle into this.
Yeah, I mean, like
how
long do you think that this whole thing like will play out? I mean, like, are you looking like 6 months down the line? Or is it just that you like we're too much in the thing to even like go that far ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not a company spokesperson, but all this stuff is pretty public. I mean, the Vox decisions around staffing and stuff all goes through the next 3 months. So I think through the end of July, and then we will see what things look like then. But yeah, we're really thinking about this in stages, and then there's also certain provisions that are like through the end of the year. I mean, I think it would be really optimistic to say that the business would be back to anything like normal, even at the beginning of 2021. But we'll see.
Well, for what it's worth, I think there's going to be probably not the same. Like, so usually the way like media usually works is there's a dip in summer because deals go through less, consumption goes down. There's like a lot of trends like that. But I don't think you'll see the same dip in the summer the way you've seen in the past, because now it's like, the reason there's usually a dip in the summer is because like people have media Fridays where they don't work on Fridays, and everyone's kind of in like in sort of in like a not that working that hard mode. Whereas now I feel like we're going to have a more sustained level of like everyone's working 75% as hard as they normally do, rather than 100 down to 50, back up to 100 in the fall, if that makes sense. So I think like for what it's worth, and obviously like you guys have like a lot of experts at Vox some of whom I know and like a lot and respect a lot, like they're doing the safe thing, but it does feel like it's kind of like you just need a few brands to really be courageous and intelligent about how they spend their money. And the question is like, is there a reason for Apple or a TV company or like a company that's selling TVs to actually buy ads or buy media across these companies if people aren't buying those things? And I think everyone just doesn't know yet right now, because obviously unemployment's a huge thing and like how much money people have to spend is a huge factor, but it's like the money still is going somewhere and it's just a matter of where.
Totally. I know I keep being like, get us a Dove deal, get us a soap deal stat. But no, I really respect, everyone who had to make these decisions, and it's really hard. But I think that a lot of smart people also like, sorry, this must be very boring. This is a very boring conversation. But what I will say is that this stuff came later than moves at other media companies. And so I feel good about like the company being cautious and really looking at all the options. But yeah, so this week's been a weird one.
Julia, one of the things that I think you found weird in your new living situation has been the lack of a dishwasher. So listen, David has a dishwasher. Jeff and I have a dishwasher. At your old apartment, you had a dishwasher. I
don't like this podcast being us sowing discord.
No, not at all. I feel like it's teamwork now. They get to like one washes, one dries. I don't know how it works. Julia,
but
you
also
tell us.
Julia was never using her dishwasher at the old place because she wasn't cooking.
Right.
So now, this new apartment for you. Tell us about it.
Okay, so yes, I, though did not cook, was drinking a lot of water and using like knives to spread peanut butter on saltine crackers in my old apartment. So I ran the dishwasher like once a week or something. But yes, at my boyfriend's, we do not have one. It's just, there's so many things I didn't realize, right? Like one, like how many dishes you may generate if you are two people and you are eating all your meals at home and you are cooking to get those meals made. So there's a high volume. I'm trying to take a lot of the dish duty because I can't cook still, really. It's just, there's just always more. I know. I'm trying to get really creative with like, can I use like one bowl the whole day? Can I like
to not wash it? Yeah.
Yes, correct. So like, cereal in this bowl, and then I'm making a PB&J, and I'll eat it from this bowl, and then I'll like have chips and salsa, which was my snack yesterday.
Is Matt aware that you're going through these like sort of like logistical gymnastics to figure out how to do less dishes? Like, is it a thing that you guys both acknowledge is occurring, or is it like you kind of going rogue, being like, I can't fucking wash another bowl?
It's me going rogue because he's like, whatever, another dish, who cares? But I care.
This is Julia. This is Julia's like good zone right here. Like, I would hate to know what her dish consumption was like 2 weeks ago.
Here's kind of like a slightly tangential point. Is Matt going to listen to this?
Oh, what a good question. I mean, I don't know. I might tell him not to.
Is he home right now? Is he home right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone's home, Eric.
Yeah, I know.
No, Julia
home.
can make him wait in the hallway.
The whole premise of this podcast.
Well, okay.
There's no hallway to wait in.
Julia, you've you've spoken on the podcast before about how you have approached cooking now, and you have started this Instagram in which you've documented that. Do you have any meals that you've been like particularly proud of that you've had your hands in?
Would love to say I've made a meal. That is not true.
Oh.
I've been like scrubbing some vegetables and like lining some pans. I have not done a lot. I made a like boxed Passover cake for nostalgia comfort purposes, so I was pretty excited about that.
Lovely.
I'm gonna make boxed brownies this weekend.
Oh wow! Wait, I want you
Have
to.
you done that before?
I mean, not in a million years. Not since at least high school.
You're much older than we thought.
I mean,
but I
like,
look so young.
Yeah, I want you to have to, like, maybe Matt should just, like, take a step back and be like, well, you have to make a meal tonight, you know? Like, I maybe that's, like, a little bit, like, I don't know, shitty
for it, especially because there is a possibility that he is going to have to leave for a couple of weeks. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to feed myself. So we have to get me some skills.
Yeah.
That's going to be fucking wild.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it for like so many reasons, but we will see.
David, you've been cooking a lot, obviously, and you sent us in our group chat some beautiful pictures of all the pastas that you've been making specifically. Have you had any that have not been great?
I think I had the biggest duds are obviously it's like when you kind of have everything you need, but not everything. And you're like, I think this will work. And you just kind of, and it doesn't really land. I'd say the big takeaway that I've had, which Julia, I don't think you've probably had this yet, where it's like, I've lived in this apartment for 3 years now, and I just figured out what the food lighting was. I was like, oh, this is where I actually need to stand to take pictures that are good. And like, it was a big revelation. It's very
There's
dramatic.
no good food lighting here at all, and so
that's what I thought too. But you really have to work all the angles.
My God,
we
need to get Matt on the podcast just to hear his side of this whole lighting situation.
That's low key. That's my most curious thing is like, let's do Julia now. But I'm already thinking like, I would love to talk to Matt and just get his take on how it's going.
I mean, I think he thinks it's going okay. I mean, the issue with the lighting specifically is that the natural light is all in the bedroom. So I could bring the food into the bedroom.
I like
take
that.
Photos of
That'd be
it.
great.
No, you gotta do artificial. Just a tip for everyone as far as lighting goes. Get as many directions of light going at the food as possible. You know, it's like you don't want it because if you have it all from one side, just get on the opposite side of that.
David, would you ever use
like,
a flash in taking a picture of your food?
No, but you shouldn't have flash is bad for like food, especially like flash is like not food friendly.
Right.
Generally.
What's the best
However,
Instagram
I love
filter?
the like high flash photos of food that are like stylized and very like the Times does this a lot.
Wait, like Terry Richardson?
You should do it. If you're gonna do that, you should do it in the app. Just bump your contrast up. Don't do it, or bump your contrast and your exposure up. Don't do it with actual flash.
What if you use like a Valencia or a Cupertino?
I'm keeping it real on mine. Like the photos on this feed are not nice. Like
they're not aesthetically pleasing.
No, at all. But my actual feed is.
Julia, do you send pictures of your food to your parents?
No, they follow the Instagram.
Oh, good.
Do they like it?
You know, they really haven't commented on it in a long time. But I think my mom likes just like getting a bit of info, seeing what I'm up to.
What is one brand that you like, maybe like for paper towels or something, and Matt doesn't get that brand? Like, what's a small brand disagreement that you guys have?
Oh, good question. I mean, I guess it's like the soap. Like, me and David have talked about this. I can't remember if we've talked about it with you guys, but this is a Mrs. Meyer's home, and my house is a Method home. But it's fine. I cannot. Now is not the time to be picky about soap.
Those are both good options, though.
Unless the soap is sponsoring your website.
Yeah.
I know, and then I will have a preference. No, but editorial. No, there's a boundary there.
I will say the reason soap came up is the bougiest shit because the reason Julie and I were talking about Julie, it was just you and me because I said to you, this is like I hate saying this, but it's like I'm an Aesop home, which is like a $35 soap, and I was like I can't keep using this soap. It's like I'm washing my hands like every 20 minutes. This is not the time for $35 soap.
Well, David, do you feel the difference?
No, it's a bullshit bougie difference. It's like it's an aesthetically pleasing bottle.
This is also a fancy candle home, so like that has maintained, which is very nice. So though neither of us were fancy soap people, we have the like nice enough. Like you're still gonna find honestly a Mrs. Meyer's in like bougie restaurants, which is insane to me because I hate the branding so much. But we do have
it's a folksy branding. It's not that bad.
Oh, I hate it. But we do have like several $100 candles here, so that, you know, it balances out.
Julia, your boyfriend plays video games. Have you started playing video games on your own, or even with him?
No. If he wanted me to, I would be so happy to try it out. But it's like a thing that he gets to like do with friends as like a social thing, and also like an unwinding on his own. We do so much together. It's actually very nice to have like he has this thing to himself. I think it's
What's something that you do by yourself to like give yourself some satisfaction in the shitty time?
I definitely go on way more walks and longer walks and like do more phone calls, which is like not a hobby by any stretch. That I do alone.
Solo walks?
Oh, all my walks are solo now. We were doing them together at the beginning. Honestly, most of them are phone calls. If I am listening, I'll listen to a podcast. But for the most part, I'm like calling people.
How long are you walking for?
Ideally an hour a day, but sometimes it's
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you see when you go out for walks? Like, are people on the street? Are you seeing a lot of crowds? Like, what are you seeing?
So generally, I'm not seeing crowds, but I am seeing people, at least one or two people on every block, and most people have masks. However, I was walking the other day, and there was like 4 or 5 teen boys who were all together skateboarding, which did not seem great. I did not think they were all related. And living in the same house, but we're hanging out. And I like turned the corner and saw them, and one of them kind of like yelled to me like, "Oh, like, did you see my trick?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna keep walking."
What? He said it to you?
Wait, it gets weirder. So then I'm like, so anyway, I like don't even like look. I'm just like, okay, keep going. So I kept walking, and I turned the next corner, and I could hear something, and I like turned around, and the whole group is like behind this one kid who's approaching me, and I'm like on the phone with my mom. I like press my hand out, and I'm like, no, like stay back. And he's like, will you marry me? And I was like, no, and just kept walking.
But
like that's illegal.
So many things about this are illegal right now. What kind of soap
do you have in your home?
I was just extremely shocked that he thought it was okay to like approach me for like so many reasons.
It's so fun. Like honestly, this is the most guy thing to say, but it's so shitty to be like that shit. It's crazy. Like that has never crossed my mind.
Right.
Like a teen accosting me. Like I mean, for marriage, obviously, but like just that.
Right.
It's such an annoying fear. I
also am like never catcalled. Like this is not a like normal thing for me at all. And like I was like, oh, of all of the times. Like some desperate times during the quarantine.
Oh, stop. I didn't tell you guys this, but when this is something really scary. When I went to, so I walked with a friend to Times Square like a few weeks ago, like on a Saturday or something, just because I wanted to see it, and it was like I also like needed just to get outside and walk, so we walked up there, and then we were up there, and then it was like we were really tired, and I was like, should we Uber back? Because like I just didn't want to walk, and we're just like, well, like, you know what, fuck it, like maybe we just take the subway. It's like right here. It's like, and it'll take us back down to our neighborhood. And I was like, and when that did, we were like, okay, let's just do it. And so we're like, Google said the subway's gonna be there in 2 minutes. We got on it, and it was probably like, it's just one of those things like you really felt just the hardship down there in a way that you're just like. I hadn't felt it anywhere else really in the same way, where it's just like you have so many people where they don't have anywhere else to go, and it's the safest, like cleanest, like place to go. Yeah. But you also have a lot of people who are going because they have to get to work and all that stuff, and it's just kind of like really like I think it's one of those things like I don't think anyone should do it. Like I don't like unless you really really have to. Right. Like just don't. It's not worth it. It's not a practical thing to do. It's not a smart thing to do. It's just like for a million reasons like no one should do it. Unless they have to. And then also it's just, I think we have to take it all seriously and not to be preachy about it, but it really, you just kind of really realize that through a process like that. But it's pretty crazy what's going on out there. I mean, that's an understatement of everything. You guys are doing a whole fucking podcast about it. But yeah, it's pretty fucking nuts. What, you said, Julia, that you like feel like you're more in a stride now. Like, when did you feel like you hit it? And then, like, how did you know that you were kind of in a more normalized or, like, steady place?
It was like, honestly, like probably 2 weeks ago. I feel like 2 weekends ago, it just like felt way more normal. We're just like on a better schedule. And like, I mean, what else was hard is the beginning of all of this when we were trying to like, didn't have everything and whatever. And work is still stressful, but we know what the rhythm is. But it's like, like we would like stop working at like 7 or 8, and then Matt would cook. We wouldn't eat till 10, and then we'd have to clean, and we wouldn't go to bed until midnight, which is like normal, but there'd be no chill time in there. So I think once I realized like, oh, we're like eating dinner earlier. We've been watching like a ton of TV in the last 2 weeks, which has been like so nice and fun, and actually not a thing that we do a lot normally. But yeah, I think just like getting the schedule. Also, it's just, I don't know, it's just like more fun now, which I know it's like, should you be like, it is fun, but like, I think there's more humor in the like day-to-day weirdness of the situation, and we both know it. And like, I don't know, there's a goofiness that I needed.
I know I told like a very like glib story about it, or a very like dark story about it, but it feels like it's important for us to realize like, oh, it's okay to be okay. You know what I mean? Like we should like be very grateful for the things you have, but like you also can't be so debilitated by the fact that like the world is ending all around us.
Yeah, like Eric and I were just on a phone call with this management team who wanted like advice on how creatives can get through this time or whatever. And so it was this Zoom call with like 20 people. And so we're talking about it, and at the end of it, this girl says, "Hey, have you gotten any backlash for being positive in such a negative time?" And I said that, not everybody is having the same experience, that there's people who are getting sick, and there are people who are getting over it, and there are people who are not getting over it. There are people who are very removed from the situation, and people who have to go to work. I mean, like, everybody has their own experience in all of this, and so you can't act like you're having... I can't act like I'm having the worst time in all of this. I can understand that's happening, but I can't have the emotional reaction to that where I'm just like, well, that's, I'm not seeing death outside my door, even though I have gone to the park and seen the tents. I think that
well, Jeff, sorry.
It's also everyone go on.
But I think that it's SNL was instructive after 9/11, where like you can have humor in such a terrible time, and you sort of have to move beyond the actual sadness of it all. Like there has to be some sort of balance.
It's also like, this came up at work, and I'd never heard of this before, but are you guys familiar with the second arrow?
No.
Of suffering?
Nope.
I'm gonna fuck this up, and I meant to like look it up after, but like basically like the first arrow is like, I think, your own personal suffering and what you're experiencing, and the second arrow is being worried about other people's suffering and how you have to make sure that does not overwhelm you. And like, it's so important to be aware of the hardships that others are dealing with or having right now, but also like that can't be something that causes you distress, because then you cannot care for yourself and care for others who are dependent on you. So I've been thinking about that. Like, I'm grateful, and like practicing gratitude has been really helpful. And also like, giving a lot of money, right? Like seeing like a friend who's like raising money to like import masks for her hospital or food banks. And that's something that has been like good and grounding. Like, okay, like what can I do now if I like have a job and like have resources, and how do I help people? Because I'm not suffering right now, and I feel very lucky and grateful for it. I don't know, that's something that's also actually helped me and kind of made me feel in control.
Yeah. And I do want to say also on that Zoom call, there was another girl who chimed in who was like, "Hey, I listen to another podcast, and I wake up every morning." She's like, "I have anxieties." And she's like, "My boyfriend always laughs about this one podcast, but hearing those two sisters on their podcast every morning gives me a little bit of like lift in my day and
a
allows
little normalcy. Yeah,
allows me to move on and be a human. And I think that's what we all need right now. And hopefully like this provides a little bit of it. Julia, we love you. Send our love to Matt. We'll be calling to check in. I'm so glad, by the way, that you're doing much better these days than you were like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I hope that trend continues.
Thank you. Love you too. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye, Julia.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Now
I guess we're just
we don't
the
have
three
to,
of us.
We don't have to call anybody. We can just start right here.
Should I hang up? You guys want to call me?
David, how are you doing?
It's interesting to hear. This is probably like, aside from some Zooms, like the longest conversation I've had in this way.
Yeah.
Where it's like multiple types of people. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. I mean, I think I mentioned it on the Julia conversation. But like, I think I'm again like. I feel very grateful. I've had like a few work things get fucked up, but like nothing crazy. And like, I'm very lucky where like I still have like work and I still have, health and all that stuff. And so I feel very lucky, but I think that's a big thing. It's just like kind of, I hope like, me and everyone else like kind of like appreciates like what we have, and like, it's just very like, okay, it's okay. Like be grateful for what you have and be also like, it's okay to be okay. Like, I think that's like a really important thing that I think I realized like a little bit later on. Because like I'm definitely like we talked about this a little bit, but it's like I was like really productive the first week, and then the second, third, and whatever. Like there's like a gap where I was just like not getting the shit done that I wanted to get done. I was like working at like 50% of what I wanted to be at.
So what'd you do instead?
Now I'm like I was just like fucking killing time, and I was just like I was spending a lot of time like cooking. Like I was just like I would spend so much time cooking because I was like, this is one thing I can do that's like kind of interesting to me. So I'm going to spend a lot of time doing it, but I don't know, it was kind of stupid. But like, I felt bad about it. I felt guilty about it. You know what I mean? Like, I felt this guilt of like, I need to get all this stuff done. Like, that was right after one of my work things got fucked up. So like, okay, I have to fix it. And I was kind of like, I did, but I also like, I don't. It's like, you just have to be kind of like, making lists has been really helpful for me, where it's like, I make a list throughout for the day. And I'm just like, okay, try to get all this stuff done. And if you don't, like, make sure you do it the next day. And just like, keep being mindful of that. I think I just like have gotten more used to the idea of, okay, you're going to wake up and you might not go outside today. And like, I have like, not right now because we're recording this, but like I usually have like all of my windows open in the daytime, and it feels like a little more like human. And shit. But I don't know. I mean, like, how have you guys been overall? I feel like you talk about it in the intros, but like, how have you guys really been?
I think that I've had more volatile ups and downs probably than Eric. I don't think Eric reveals his emotions as much as I do.
Oh, I would disagree.
You think so?
I would wholly disagree with that. And also,
I think both, for what it's worth, as a third party, I think both of you guys do it in just very different ways, but both of you do it.
Yeah.
And like, because Eric is very vocal when he's like unhappy about something or doesn't like something or doesn't like, I think he's like very like, I would say almost in some ways Eric gets more mad on the surface than you do, Jeff.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I don't get mad. I'm just saying like I've had more trouble getting out of bed certain days. I'm just like that's
same.
Yeah,
I've had that too.
Like I think that the structure of calling people 3 times a day is good, but there's just certain days where I'm just like I just don't want to do this. And I today's been a better day, and I think that actually, honestly, the conversation that the 4 of us had with Lenny, I was like, oh, like I could see us doing like a podcast after this. Like the chemistry was just so good, and I was just like, this is so interesting, and it's not like surface level shit.
Yeah,
because I'm tired.
Well, we all know each other.
Yeah, but I think there's like a real depth to it in a way that sometimes you just don't get that.
Okay, yes, there have been occasions where we've had conversations with people that we don't necessarily know and have tried to like invest ourselves in their lives, like right now, and they have not responded in kind, and that has made for a conversation that's not like even able to be put out, so we don't, and that does feel like a suck, but
well, I think that's one of those things though. It's like that's the nature of where we're at right now, where it's like the nature of a phone interview. Like I think you guys are, so much of what you guys do is almost not on camera, and it's before the conversation, you know what I mean? It happens before the mic goes on, because you guys make it very clear this is a safe place for us to have a conversation. We're not here to fucking kill you. We're not here to we're not going to twist anything. Like, because that's how a lot of people go into media. They think about it like, I have to be careful of what I say, so what I say doesn't come back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah.
Which is like a good way of like anyone talking, but like, you know, I think famous people or whatever, like notable people or
David, you know,
people in the public eye, I think have that sensitivity.
So there's 2 points that I want to make. One is I think it's, in retrospect, it's so crazy how we've gone from working around a once a week podcast to doing it every day while everyone else is sort of like figuring stuff out. Like, it just seems like backwards, but it is.
I told you not to do it.
I know you did. I know.
And then,
kill yourself.
Then you also said don't get 3 guests a day.
But I.
Yeah.
But
because I just thought it would be too much work, and I was worried about my friends.
We
I
appreciate
think
that.
those are fair points.
I do want to say that out of this, it's been interesting to see, because, okay, we've done 30 episodes, 3 episodes a day. That is
3 guests a day.
3 guests a day, and
Yeah.
that is 90 guests. And someone asked us yesterday or the day before, how do we do this, and how many people of those people do we actually know? And the overwhelming majority of them are, friendly types to us, if not actual friends.
Yeah.
And that has been sort of like pretty cool to see, and interesting to reach out to other people, both who are on board with doing it and those who are unavailable, because I never consider this press, like myself.
Right. Yeah,
some people do jump on and they're like, hey, I have a new album and that's what I'd like to talk about.
Right.
But for the very most part, it's interesting when someone's like, hey, he's not doing press right now. You know?
It's like, oh, I didn't realize that this was that. Yeah.
No, but it is. Not to burst your bubble, but the recorded form of media that goes out to a lot of people is, in fact, for famous people press. like I don't. Look, I mean, it's great that you guys think of it that way.
Well, David,
but
David, let's talk about what you're here to promote. Trolls is out on all streaming. Yeah,
VOD.
Yeah,
premium VOD.
How has that rollout been for you? Because very untraditional. You're not going to theaters. Who knows if theaters are going to exist after this point? But Trolls is for everybody who rents it, like Jerry Lorenzo and his family and everybody else. They're renting it, for 2 days at a time, and then they're renting it again. How has that been for you guys to sort of like observe from your seat?
I've personally been really interested in it because this was something where I was like, what I said didn't matter at all, and there are much more important people at DreamWorks that made this decision. But like when this first all came up, I was like, we should just go to VOD with this, because it's just so interesting. Because it's like, this is a perfect case study of like parents need something for their kids to do, and this will take up 90 minutes of time on repeat. You know what I mean? Like, and I think Jerry talks about that. It's like the idea of like your kids just need it, And I think that's what I'm curious to see what the second week numbers are like, because it came out last week and it did. I mean, I don't think I'm breaking anything by saying it did really, really, really well. And I think it's one of those things where the platforms like Amazon or Apple or whoever were obviously incentivized to promote it because they kind of are in a fight with the theaters, right? Like they would much rather things be available day and date, where it comes out in the theater the same day it comes out on VOD, because that's a whole new model for them and it's frankly a lot more lucrative. So they're incentivized to promote it. You have all these parents stuck at home with their kids, schools getting canceled, summer camps getting canceled. It's like people need something new to watch. Like that's an interesting thing. So as like a fan of media, like I was really interested to see this work, and I think it'll be interesting to see like from this, as we promote more the fact that it did do really well, like who else is willing to do it? Because like Marvel pushed all of their movies back to November, and then like
Fast and Furious is like next year.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious is the same studio, and they made that decision literally in a day. Like it's all NBC Universal, and they were like, you know what? Like in a day, we're gonna put this out. Like I'm not speaking out of turn, but like the reason we had to put ours out was because there's already so much invested in marketing, whether it's like out of home, which obviously doesn't matter at all now, whether it's like or matters less, but like a lot of marketing spends had already been committed, so they had to they felt it was like, okay, you know what, we've already done so much, and Justin had done so much press in advance, so like he was on Hot Ones, he'd recorded that like a month ago. Like he did a bunch of international press, like he had like 3 press days where he just did it all, so it all came out afterwards, and Anna had done the same thing, and Anderson had done some, and so they did Ellen together, right? So they're like, yeah, they did Ellen, like Justin did a Ellen with like SZA and Anderson, and like it was, it's one of those things where like all that stuff was already in the bank, so like fuck it, we might as well give this a try. And again, I think it's one of those things like this whole period, I think, is one where everyone's reassessing. I mean, Lenny just talked about it. Like we're reassessing how it is we're actually going to operate moving forward. You know, it's like, I think Drake, you know, The Weeknd was the first one to put it out because he was the first week after, but I think Drake's going to be in an interesting spot. You know, like he's going to spend the next probably like few weeks or a month or whatever, like getting ready the album and like putting it out and all that stuff. And like, obviously he's had tremendous success with the first one, and the TikTok plan was like beyond all the other plans, because now TikTok is a bigger platform than it even was probably when they even had the idea and recorded the video. But like, you know, all this stuff that's like coming together, it's interesting to see how all this stuff works and how people adjust. Like, I mean, I feel comfortable saying it's like, you know, Justin's gonna lay low for a second, but like, you know, we had already, and there's footage of this on the internet, but like he'd already been in the studio with, you know, Lizzo and Hit Boy and all these people and a bunch of other producers.
Meek Mill,
that had already happened.
Yeah,
Meek. I mean, so it's like we were going to go back in and do a bunch of stuff, but you know, obviously now it's like we have to be conscious of that and like not be around anyone. But like, you know, I don't know. I think the next little bit will be really interesting. You know, I think it's good to hear that you guys are doing better, though. I think you guys are doing better, right, Jeff? I mean, Jeff, do you think you're doing better now?
I think that this week was tough, but I don't know it wasn't like a perceptible thing, right? Like, I think that Eric and I have found a very good rhythm of just like recording and doing yoga, and we've gotten ahead in terms of bookings. Like, bookings are way easier now than they ever were. You know, people are reaching out, and it hasn't really been a problem to come up with 3 people a day. So I think that's...
Lenny was the hardest one to get.
Lenny was super hard. Lenny wasn't returning any of his texts.
You know what's interesting? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
But playing video games was, you know, something that was not part of our lives for a very, very long time. We didn't have a console.
Are you guys playing the Nintendo a lot?
Yeah. So, well, yes and no.
Not a lot, yeah.
So last weekend, after not playing it for like 2 weeks, it was like, yo, we're just going to play Mario 3 and we're just going to try to get to like level 6, right? And that was like...
Are you guys that bad at video games?
Yes.
Hold on, level 6 is like pretty good.
David, we tried...
Bro, I'm very familiar. Level 5 is what, this big land, and then level 6 is the Skyland. Is that right? I'm doing this.
Oh, maybe we only got to the big land.
We only got to 5. Yeah, we only got to 5.
Okay.
There were some difficulties in the big land, but we don't need to talk about that today.
Do you guys know about flutes?
Yes,
yeah,
we do. We do.
That's how we got
sometimes,
to 5.
David, you just want to go through every level. But yeah, we do know the flutes and the warp zones and the whole thing. But we sort of dedicated our Saturday and Sunday to that, and then it was like, oh, let's get back to work, and we haven't touched the video game really since.
Yeah,
I'm surprised at that. You know, I'm surprised that like we've gotten into this rhythm where it's just like something that really could take all of our attention away has not.
Yeah, but also like, so we work for so much of the day. You know, because we record the thing, and then we're booking people.
And then we edit.
And then we edit.
Photoshop. Yeah.
And then we eat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's just a lot of stuff.
To post the video and post the... Yeah.
And then, like, by the time...
But that's the thing, Jeff, I think that's the thing, like, you guys, like, crack the code kind of, like, backwards, where it's like, yeah, you work, and then you don't work. And, like, you need the time of not working. And I think, frankly, like, we're all older now than when we first met, like, as time goes. But like, but like, it's you when we were younger, like, I feel like I could have just worked nonstop, and like, I didn't really need to play, and I played because that was like part of like my human existence. But like, if I were 24, 25 now, I think I would just like work nonstop.
Same.
And kind of just keep working. But I think at our age now, I think you need to have a break. You know what I mean? I think you need to like sleep, and I think you need to like get away from it and then be able to go back to it, because like that was the thing I found. Like, I'm working like on one project right now with like a bunch of like 25, 26-year-olds, and because like I'm managing the team, it's like I'm always like cognizant of the fact like they're always working and they like don't stop. And so like I don't want to push them to do that, because I don't think that's right. But then I also, if they're doing it and they're looking for feedback from me, trying to be available. So I've been trying to create my own sort of like quasi availability, but also being like, hey guys, I'm on a walk. I'm going to be walking for the next hour. Like, that's just what I'm going to do. Like, without like, because I don't want to discourage them from working. And I also don't want to encourage them to keep working. But it's like, I think that balance is really, really important. Like creating a separation, and like the work from homeness of it all is like a big part of that. You know, the idea of like when you're working from home, like I think that's why everyone's like set hours for yourself. Like where you're like, I'm working from here to here. I think I said that on the first time I was on, but like, I think that's like it's an interesting thing. And I'm glad you guys have found some sort of like balance to it. You know what I mean?
I think
like,
that
it is easy to get sucked in.
Yeah, I think that the one thing I'm missing is just like time by myself, but that just like it just won't happen, and so like I can't really fight against that.
Do you ever go on walks by yourself though?
No,
like,
but
Eric
I mean, like
goes on a walk by himself, and like you guys get like some alone time in the house.
No, I mean, like, but the crazy thing is that, like, you know, Eric and I are very different people, and we haven't argued at all throughout this.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, like not one argument, which is wild. Not that we argue all the time, but it's just like that there hasn't been
you guys are two people with opinions.
Yeah.
You know, like you guys are two people with opinions that work together and live together, and like there's naturally going to be differences of opinion.
Yeah. No,
that's so cool though.
Yeah, I think we both found that like these are just crazy times, and to get through it, it's just like
but that makes it seem like there was like a decision. You know,
No.
like there just hasn't been any sort of feeling of like there's been nothing, and so. I do think that like we both need like time alone, but like I'm also just like it's been fine. It's just that there are certain days where you're just like fuck, like another day of the, and I think it's more of a cosmic thing that I'm bothered by. It's just like I just want there to feel like a next step in battling this war that's outside. You know, like you watch. I wake up and I read the news and it's just like all these people are sick and everybody's losing their jobs and it's like the unemployment numbers are going up and you just see like that there's no end to this in sight. So it's just like that's my real worry.
Well, Jeff, I think like it's important. You should remember it's like, well, there will be an end, right? Like at some point this will end, and this isn't going to be the way it's always going to be. I would say just like as your friend, I think it's important that you probably like balance out the amount of news you're consuming because frankly, like the amount of news you consume isn't going to change anything.
No.
You kind of, as long as you know all the important facts of like what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing if there's any developments and like the way you should be handling the virus. Like aside from that, like I would try to separate yourself from it as much as possible because frankly, like living in it and living in the reality of like kind of all the things that are wrong with our world, with the government, with whatever, it's like those things are just gonna like weigh you down so much. I think you gotta like, I think that's like why like, if anything, like you guys should get the Switch. You know, it's like you should go to Animal Crossing and not Twitter. You know
but
what
like
I mean?
all
like,
the Switches are sold out.
I think they're putting more out now. Also, you could get the handheld Switch, which is also really good, and frankly, might be good for you to just like do it in your room. You know?
Yeah.
And like it's a little more cost prohibitive, but like maybe you guys should both get your own like little solo Switches, so like you guys can kind of like be in your own space and like you know do your own thing. But I would just say like. Listen, man, everything's gonna like, it will get better. Like, we just don't know when. We don't know what it'll look like, how it'll be like. You know, I mean, LA is like, or California is like a great example of like, they're probably gonna get better relatively quickly based on kind of the numbers they've seen and the fact that like the number of people that have died in California right now is like the number of people that die a day in New York, or whatever. And like, you know, I mean, it's like it's just like the nature of like kind of we all live on top of each other and they live like super spread apart. But like, I think like just know that there's like an end in sight, and I wouldn't get too like. You know, as best you can, like try to keep like some like distance from the shittiness of it and be obviously cognizant of it, but don't like kind of intentionally, voluntarily surround yourself in a way that's like too negative. I feel like that's where we should end it.
Yeah, no, I was just telling Jeff that's how we're gonna wrap it up.
Did you put it in the doc? People don't even know. Did you didn't even put it in the doc?
No, I didn't put it in the doc. We just know this, David.
I can't see the doc. I see nothing.
Listen, shout out to David Cho, shout out to Julia Rubin, and shout out to Lenny S. Jeff, are we back tomorrow?
We are back every day forever.
As always, guys.
Wait, no. Also, Jeff and Eric, shout out to you guys too. Great job doing the podcast.
Thank you very much.
You will listen to the podcast.
Thank you very much, David.
Oh yeah, subscribe.
As always, guys. Now for real.
Sure.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.